On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, Erik Voorhees trolls the SEC, Millennials opt for Bitcoin as a retirement investment, and a quick check-in on Segwit2x, as there could be some drama on the horizon. All of that and a mini market roundup on today's episode of the Cryptoverse, so stay right there. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney, the founder of Cryptoversity, the online school where you can learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Find out more about that at cryptoversity.com. Meanwhile, we'll go over to coinmarketcap.com for the market roundup for today. Looking much more normal, what the hell does that mean? I don't know. But it's pretty much a good blend of lower end single digit gains and losses, and it's a spread across the board. So let's begin with the biggest winner of the day, which is Stratis. You know Stratis, our good old friend, the blockchain where you can build applications using the .NET framework, which is widely used and supported. So Stratis is ranking there in 16th place due to its market cap of 493 million. If you want to buy a Stratis token, you're looking at about $5 exactly. And that's after a gain of 7.2% in the last 24 hours. On the other side of that, we've got ARK down there in 20th place, just clinging on to the top 20 there. $333 million market cap gives ARK its 20th position. It's about $50 million ahead of Steam, which is just below it. ARK, in any case, has lost 10.13% of its value in the last 24 hours, leaving an ARK token at $3.41. Most traded altcoin today is Quantum, $137 million in the last 24 hours. And Quantum, after all that trading, has lost 7.8% of its value, down to $9.06. Moving on from there, we have an honorable mention for NEM, which has gained 7.1% in the last 24 hours. NEM is reigning there in 7th place with a $2.15 billion market cap. And if you want to buy a NEM token, you're looking at about 24 cents. Crazy Coin Award goes to BitDeal. We actually had BitDeal feature yesterday. BitDeal is now up to 75th place. It's gained up to a $52 million market cap. And it's gained 62.09% in the last 24 hours. And it's only traded $879,000 of actual trading volume. If you want to buy a BDL token, you're looking at about 43 cents. So that's the cryptocurrency prices for the day. The next thing we'll do is we'll just have a quick check-in on those two Bitcoin trades that I've got on the table right now, see where they're at. So over we go to Coinigy, and yesterday I watched Bitcoin bust back through $4,000. I actually watched it happen in the matter of like 15 minutes. It went from 3,800 odd all the way up to, what was the high yesterday? It was 4,119. So I thought, there we go. People are willing to buy Bitcoins above $4,000 again. That's a good sign. And I fully expected that 4,000 to turn into support. It didn't, because today, despite the price opening at $4,084, it's now trading at $3,916. So 4,000 is not held as support. We'll see. We're going to bounce around that probably looking at this, going up and down, and eventually it will become new, it'll reassert itself as support. But as it is right now, both of those positions I put in are both in positive territory. And for the original trade to be in losing territory, the price would have to go down below 3,800 again, which I think is unlikely, especially since we're now back above the 50-day moving average, which, if you can barely see it on my chart here, the low of today is sitting right on the 50-day moving average at about 38.30. So there we go. That's where my trades are at. Moving swiftly on to the news, I have a comedy tweet of the day for you. I saw this yesterday on my phone and I just had to save it to share with you today. So over to Twitter we go, to Erik Voorhees' Twitter. Now, the SEC, New York, tweets out, they said, "Have you been the target of securities fraud? you can contact the SEC with questions and complaints. And then they post this link to where you can make a complaint about if you've been the victim of securities fraud, right? So then Erik Voorhees retweets it, adding this comment. Yes, exclamation mark. The Federal Reserve has been selling USD coin and continually debasing it. Hundreds of millions of victims, please help. Which I thought was absolutely spectacular because it kind of turns the mirror right on them. So I really appreciate that from him. So, you know, Erik Voorhees, the CEO of Shapeshift, also now the company that owns KeepKey, if you remember that story from recently, where Shapeshift bought the KeepKey company in a cash deal. Ballin'. Moving on. Segwit2x drama may be on the horizon. Now, I personally am not particularly tribal. I'm more, individual within the collective type of guy. However, I am aware that there are many people, especially in the cryptocurrency world, who are extremely tribal and they just love to get behind these hashtag campaigns because it gives them a sense of belonging, I guess. And there's one such campaign going on right now called No2x. And one of the culprits in this tribe is ToneVase, no doubt. So you look at his Twitter name here, ToneVase, hashtag No2x. So this is a group of people who want to prevent a Bitcoin hard fork in November, which will increase the block size to 2 megabytes and thereby allow a greater number of transactions to be processed in any given 10-minute period. Since Segwit activated, we haven't really talked much about Bitcoin scaling. But if you remember, there was the thing called the New York Agreement, which was activate Segwit, then do a 2 megabyte hard fork 3 months later. That was the agreement, and that was the basis on which Segwit was activated. So I would then fully expect that agreement to be carried out, right? So this would put the 2 megabyte hard fork around about, well, the 15th of November, maybe the 18th of November. We're some time away from that, of course, but I just wanted to bubble this back up to the surface so that this doesn't come as a surprise if this drama becomes the #1 talking point in the near future, right? Even on CoinDance, we've got some data here, with it monitors the different scaling proposals and the amount of support that they've got. And Segwit2x is still sat up there with 93% miner support. So we have to assume that's correct for the time being. But the only reason I'm mentioning it is because ToneVase isn't the only person that's getting behind this, hashtag No2x campaign. You'll see an increasing number of people on Twitter that are getting behind this and opposing it. The people that really matter are the miners. If they decide to renege on the New York Agreement and not do a 2 megabyte hard fork, that might again split the community. Some miners that are honorable and have integrity and do carry out the agreement as they said they would, they'll go one way, and then the ones that refuse will go another way. And because it's a hard fork, that will potentially, if that happens, the miners will go 2 separate ways and that will split the chain again. So yes, that's potentially where the drama is at. And this is not a surprise. We knew when we were talking about the Segwit hard fork and all of that UASF stuff that there was a potential another splitting point coming up in November. So we'll keep an eye on that. So just to make you aware of it. Final story for today from Bitcoinist.com. They've got an article entitled Bitcoin, the Millennial Retirement Nest Egg. And being a millennial myself, I thought, let's have a look at this then. I don't really class myself as a millennial. I'm a bit of an odd bod because all of the classic sort of behaviors and statistics surrounding millennials, I think I'm one of the outliers. So I don't fall really in the center of the data set. So are millennials using Bitcoin as their retirement nest egg? Well, it seems like they are. And this is likely because of how comfortable millennials are with technology, online banking and so on. We just tend to trust technology to work because we've got so much experience with it. So it would make sense in that regard for the tech generation. It wouldn't make sense for them to use like legacy finance systems, would it? Like old style pensions and all that malarkey, especially people who've lived through the 2008 financial crisis and have seen the mess that was made in that regard. I don't think millennials particularly trust the stock market so much. But anyway, there's this part in the article here that I've highlighted that says, most of these users are from the young generation that is disillusioned with the legacy social and financial institutions that have frankly betrayed them, be it the church, the government, or the banks. Well, that brings us to the conclusion that we sort of have to fend for ourselves. And when I say we, I mean the millennials observe, the banks, the churches, and the governments, and then they've all displayed a poor track record of integrity. So then we think, well, come to the conclusion we just have to fend for ourselves then. We'll just have to figure it out on our own. And despite any of the risks associated with cryptocurrencies, them being a new technology, for example, well, I guess my generation, the millennials, just don't see that as any riskier than trusting these legacy institutions, right? Given that they've proven their corruption. And cryptocurrencies, the only risk is that they may not pan out, whereas that seems like a lower risk because that's a maybe, whereas we've seen these institutions definitely have a track record of bad behavior. So you're betting on a maybe versus a definite, right? So that's maybe my take on it there. Getting back to the article though, I've highlighted this another section further down in orange, which is under the heading of a Bitcoin IRA. It says, while there are many skeptics who refuse to advocate Bitcoin as a long-term investment tool, most recently, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, it hasn't deterred tech entrepreneurs from collaborating with their financial counterparts to launch crypto-focused investment tools. Well, has the comment from Jamie Dimon about Bitcoin being a fraud deterred millennials? Well, no, it hasn't deterred them, has it? It's encouraged them. Right? The savvy millennials, they pay close attention to what people like Jamie Dimon say so they can do the complete opposite, right? As the saying goes, the enemy of the enemy is my friend, which in this case would be Bitcoin, right? So whoever Jamie Dimon hates, or like people have been saying, whatever China bans, invest in it, right? Because the enemy of the enemy is my friend. What I think is truly great about Bitcoin as a retirement plan in particular is it's not just a collective of people of a nation propping up its value, but it's the collective of people of the internet. And I think that makes all the difference. All right, guys, thanks very much for joining me today. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're new around here, get subscribed. And if you would like access to my very best material, such as my structured online courses that will teach you things like how to make and save money with Bitcoin, check out cryptoversity.com. Alright guys, that's all for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.